Good morning. We work every day with Virginia teachers, helping them get our students ready to be more effective decision makers and stronger participants in our economy. Today we are here to recognize and celebrate the creativity of some of the best. And now we will move on to our Institute category. We also acknowledge an innovative lesson developed and taught by a teacher who has completed a VCEE Economics and/or Personal Finance Institute. Jordan Wiley completed the 2019 VCEE Online Economics Institute from Bear Creek Academy, an independent school in Cumberland. And he is our Institute winner this year for the lesson entitled The Game of Life, a Personal Finance Simulation, and he will receive $1,000 today. Would you please come forward?
Thank you so much. I said, there's my icebreaker, see? Built in. I will also like to thank the VCEE, the selection committee, the board of directors for this honor. I really appreciate it. And thank you, Rebecca, because had you not told me to, hey, why don't you submit this, wouldn't be here. So I appreciate that. I noticed that in the letter that we received, it talked about whether we wanted to speak about the importance of the lesson or about how students respond to the lesson. And I had a little trouble kind of deciding, okay, which one of those I'm going to talk about. And to understand why, I think it's important that you understand where I work. Bear Creek Academy is listed as an independent school, but we're a private special education day school. Okay? And what that means is that we work with public education students who, for one reason or another, can't be in the public school system. Okay? And that's typically behavior and emotional disturbance. So the students that come to our school have a history of academic failure, behaviors that come with this academic failure, anxiety, a history of defiance, lack of motivation, and most importantly, given that economics is a study of choices, come on guys, study of choices, impulsive and poor decision-making skills. Okay? So, one of the most effective ways to help them experience success in our school is to teach covertly. Some of you may have read the book, Teaching is a Subversive Activity. I see teaching as a covert activity. Okay? And what I mean by that is that how they respond to the lesson is one of the most important parts, I'd say. Okay? Getting them to respond in a way where they don't realize that they're learning is critical. Okay? Because I've got to sneak it under the radar. The more control and the more I tell them you need to learn this, the more pushback I'm going to get from them. So the Game of Life attempts to teach finance and microeconomic principles under the guise of play. I am also a biology teacher. And as we know, across numerous species of mammals, play is one of the most effective and common ways that people and animals learn. Okay? And the learning happens incidentally. Okay? By placing routine financial skills and the larger process of responsible decision-making into the context of a game, the learning becomes incidental to the act of playing. So, I want to share a little bit about how my students react to this lesson. So I had our English teacher ask them kindly, a couple of the seniors that I have that have taken the course, to just say a few brief words. So I wanted to share those and let them speak for themselves. One of my students, Devin, who was actually going to be my guest today, but was sick. So he was heartbroken. He was like, I want to go to the Federal Reserve. And I was like, okay, we'll do a field trip. And then sure enough, I'm like, hey, guess what? I got to go to the Federal Reserve. Want to come? We'll do a field trip. Anyways, the thing I like most about the life game is it actually deals with life and how to live, what expenses you might have to come across, and how money disappears in a hurry. Playing the life game helps me create real-life simulations. It's like I am in the real world, but I'm not. One thing I have learned in the life game is how to live life in the future for myself. Another thing I was surprised about is how much taxes I will have to pay. Aren't we all? Another student, Brandon, the things that I like about life is that it teaches you about how life is after high school. The game teaches you how to write checks, how to plan for your future investments, and how unpredictable life is. The game of life helped me to plan stuff after school financially for my future after graduation. I have learned how to make a bank account, check my bank account, how to deposit, withdraw from my bank account, and how to manage my money. The game even helps students learn about how to pay taxes and pay bills. So just two quick observations about what these students wrote. Number one, they talked about the development of concrete skills, which is super important. Writing checks, using a calculator, understanding percentages, managing income and expenses, calculating net worth, keeping accurate and dependable financial records. And then the other thing they talked about was the aspect of planning, learning how choices impact their future, how education impacts their earning potential, how to build assets to increase net worth, how to prepare for emergencies, how to think long term. A lot of these students come from an environment where their parents are thinking about, how am I going to pay this bill this week? They're not thinking about, how am I going to set money aside in a Roth IRA to try and earn some income tax-free and retire? So it's important to get them thinking about those long-term things. And the life game, in which each week is a simulation of a year in their life, where they have an opportunity to know how to pay taxes, but then also to invest, to purchase assets, to have children, and to prepare for all the contingencies that life might throw at them, is one of the most important things about the game. My students face more than the average amount of challenges each day. And we've seen for ourselves, look at the news, how the average person even has trouble managing finances and building wealth, right? And making responsible financial decisions. And these guys are probably going to face these problems for the rest of their lives. And if I can help them to really think about their financial futures, start to plan, then hopefully I've helped them find some stability and security in lives that would otherwise be chaotic. Thank you.